Greetings everyone, welcome to video number 41 in the project management series presented by Process Geekoid. Today's agenda will be going over reviewing the PMBOK process table as well as the 38th process, which is the planned risk response process. This process occurs at the intersection of the risk knowledge area and the planning process group. As always, please subscribe, like, and comment. So let's move forward. So after planning for risk, identifying the risk types, prioritizing our risks, and quantitatively analyzing risk impacts in terms of cost on all possible risks, whether they are negative risks or threats or positive risks or opportunities, the last step in risk planning is to plan a risk response. The process of planned risk responses is the process of developing options or actions to enhance or maximize the use of positive risks or opportunities and reduce or minimize the effects of negative risks or threats. The key benefit of this process is it addresses risks by their priority by inserting resources and activities into the budget, schedule, and project management plan as needed. This slide recaps where we are in the risk management journey. So far we have planned for risk management, identified the risks in form of a risk register. Then we have qualitatively analyzed the risks and prioritized the risks. Then we have quantitatively assessed our risks by giving a dollar amount of how much would be impacted by each risk type. Now we are at the point where we are going to take all this information that we've already gathered and produce a risk response plan. The last step in risk management is control risks, which we'll conclude in the next video. Now we are at the point where we'll discuss the ITTL's inputs, tools, techniques, and outputs for planned risk responses. For inputs, we have the risk management plan, which consists of roles and responsibilities of individuals dealing with risk. Then you have risk analysis definitions, timing for reviews, basically reviewing the effectiveness of the risk response plan, and then also the risk thresholds for low, moderate, and high risk. Also, you'll be reviewing in the risk management plan all the possible risk register identified risks and make sure that you have some sort of a log of risks to go over. Then you have the risk register, which is an output coming from identify risk process, which has the identified risks, root cause of the risk, list of potential responses, risk owners, symptoms or warning signs, risk priority number of the risks, and risks requiring responses in the near term, risks for additional analysis or response, and the watch list of low priority risks. Those all fall under the risk register. Next, we go over the tools. For tools, we have strategies for negative risks or threats. Basically, you also have strategies for positive risks or opportunities, and contingent response strategies and expert judgment. So strategies for negative risks or threats, basically you have four flavors. One, you have avoid. You're basically involving changing the project management plan to eliminate the threat entirely. Examples include extending the schedule, changing the strategy, or reducing the scope. This is not a good idea all the time. Avoiding the risk is not always going to be feasible. The other option we have is going to be transfer, which is basically shifting the impact of a threat to a third party in exchange for a payment. This could be an example of insurance, performance bonds, or warranties or guarantees. Then you have mitigate, taking early action to reduce the probability and or impact of a risk occurring on the project. So an example of mitigation is designing redundancy into a system may reduce the impact from a failure of an original component. So this could be like having a backup to your database center and backing up all your data in various versions or different servers. And in a version of cloud computing, you have different centers that you will be operating from. So, or basically availability zones. So cloud have different availability zones. So in case one area crashes, you have a backup somewhere else on the globe. And accept is basically acknowledgement of the risk and not taking any actions unless the risk occurs. Active acceptance of the risk is better than being passive, and by actively accepting, you'll have a contingency reserve. Next tool and technique is strategies for positive risk or opportunity. You also have 4 flavors of this, and this is going to be exploit, where you're going to seek to eliminate the uncertainty associated with the particular upside risk by ensuring the opportunity definitely happens, such as assigning an organization that is talented to the project to reduce the time to completion. So you'll be using a consulting firm to help you exploit the risk or doing a joint venture. Then you have enhance, which is used to increase the probability and or positive impact of an opportunity, such as adding more resources to an activity to finish early. Then you have share, which is involving allocating some or all of the ownership of the opportunity to a third party who is best able to capture the opportunity, such as forming a risk-sharing partnership, joint venture, teams, or special purpose companies. And then last but not least, you have accept, which is willing to take advantage of the opportunity if it arises, but not actively pursuing it, which is not going to be that great considering you want to capitalize on your opportunities as much as possible. So it's best to exploit or enhance or share your opportunity as much as possible. Then you have contingent response strategies. These are responses designed for use only if certain events occur. So keep in mind that when we did cost planning, we had contingency reserve set aside for known accepted risks. This kind of ties into that. Now we have strategies to make sure we maximize the use of those dollars we set aside in the cost baseline. And that's basically what this is all about. And then you have expert judgment. Basically, you have your risk management team or any other risk expert to make sure that you respond to the risk at hand in a positive fashion, effectively and efficiently. The outputs of this process are project management plan updates, and you're updating the schedule management plan, cost management plan, quality management plan, procurement management plan, human resource management plan, the scope baseline, schedule baseline, and cost baseline. This all makes sense because risk will impact all of these areas and you'd have to update them in case something happens. Project document updates. You have updates to the assumptions log. The assumptions log is part of the risk register and also part of your scope statement. So keep in mind that you'll be updating this information as you find new information. Then you have technical documentation updates and change requests, because you will have to raise change requests as a result of planned risk response in case one of your risk responses you've had before during the review that you've done earlier has shown during the risk management plan review. So we would need to raise a change request in the project document updates. So that's basically what we're doing here. To recap, the key benefit of planned risk response is it addresses risks by their priority, inserting resources and activities into the budget, schedule, and project management plan as needed. In other words, we are also making sure we have extra money and extra buffer time set aside in case any actively accepted or unknown risks occur. Note, we will have this laid out in the contingency reserves of the cost baseline and management reserves respectively within the budget. So basically, we need to make sure that we have all of these responses in line, ready to go, and get ready to respond to these risks as they occur from all of the various facets in the project in terms of cost, schedule, procurement, stakeholders, etc. Thank you for watching this video. Please subscribe, like, and comment.